Hey folks, welcome back to the Portable Gamer, and welcome back to European Truck Simulator 2 and our somewhat clockwise trip around Europe. So we are remember we came from Riga, Latvia, I believe, down to Pewa, but we didn't actually go into, spelled P-I-T-A, but it's pronounced, from what I could find, it's pronounced Pewa. We didn't actually go into that town. We went to this drop-off right here. I couldn't find anything from either of these going the direction we wanted. So I dead-headed back to Bydgoszcz, is what I would go with. Polish people in the house. Bydgoszcz, how do they do? Went back there. We did find a load, but see, it ruined my surprise right there. This is going to be my big reveal. See, that's our Scania 164, but check it. Oh God. Richard, what did you do? So I went ahead and got the Ikari box on it. I built a rigid, I got the Ikari box on it, and it's still the same 164 up front. It's a 6x4 tag lift. Sorry, 6x2 tag lift. I skinned it. It's got the lift gate on the back. It's skinning it. Oh my goodness. Yeah, but I got that done. So this is one of my big surprises. This is something that I've wanted to do for a long time. I've seen a lot of BDF packs and rigid trucks, and none of them just ever really did it for me. But this one, I think, is really well executed, and it's based on the RJL. I'm sorry, it's not based on. It's designed to work with the RJL, both the 7 Series Scania and the 4 Series Scania. 164 is what we're in, so everything works out. I also then went ahead and skinned everything. I skinned the truck, I skinned the box, I skinned the trailer. I was just a skinning mess. So that's what's been going on. That's one of my big reveals. Thought I just took that off. So it is 3:45 in the morning, and you know I'm trying not to drive at night, so we're going to drive into sunrise today, because we're taking this dolly trailer. And I know, if you've got a keen eye, you're like, hey man, it cut off the top of your logo. It did, and I'll tell you what that's all about once we get on the road, if I can get this hooked up in one, and of course I cannot, but we'll get her going. So yeah, that's one of my big reveals, and the upgrade was about, I want to say, 135,000 pounds. Not as much as I thought it would be. I thought it was going to be like 250. So we did okay there. Oh, you know what? I just realized I'm doing this out of cab. Should we do it in cab? Right. If you're not familiar with these BDF trailers, I'm just kind of learning them, and I'm really impressed so far. So, lift axle on the rear. What do we got? 726 kilometers. That is perfect. 11 hours. It will give us enough time to drive into daylight. It'll be light in just a couple hours. So we need to get fuel somewhere out of town, but we just woke up, so we shouldn't have to sleep till the end of the episode. We may be able to get this delivered in one episode. Don't know. Now the other thing is I went ahead and I got base tracking. I've had a couple in the past. I went ahead and got it going again, and I'll tell you why. It's going to take a little getting used to, by the way. Well, one thing at a time. Easy, lad. One thing at a time. So, first thing is the skins, and I'll hop out. I'll go third person and show you. You can see on the trailer it's cutting off the top of the logo. And what that's about is this truck and trailer set. Well, there's a truck set, then there's a trailer set, and then there are, see? I need to remember one thing at a time. There's a truck set, there's a trailer set, there's various other sets. They interact, different dolly trailers made by different mod makers and various other things. But one of the sets, actually the set that matches the BDF truck that we're driving, in a very efficient use of file space, it uses one image file for many, many trailers, and then a second image file for many, many other trailers. Very efficient. I like that. The downside is it is more suited to a sort of, how do I even want to say this? Almost like a centered logo. So my logo is kind of swoopy, right? And I think I told you this previous episode, but that is the angel from the fountain, from a fountain in Reims, and I wanted our logo to be something representative of the area that our fake company is based in. That's Reims, so we went with a kind of an iconic Reims image. But we want it pointing forward like the hood ornament on an old Rolls Royce, right? No point doing it right now because it's dark out here and no street lights, you wouldn't be able to see it. But we want our logo facing like it's facing into the wind like a hood ornament. So it does have a, I guess, a left and a right, because I would prefer that it be back toward the rear of the trailer, the truck, or the front for that matter. Like maybe it's, you know, cutting gracefully through the wind or what have you. You know what I mean. But not necessarily right in the middle. Well, the way those trailers are set up, and with that very efficient use of file space and file size, there's one image that's designed to go sort of in the center of the trailer, and then the various sizes of trailer expand out in front of and behind it, if that makes sense. So it's always in the center, and it can go on any length trailer. Or on various length trailers, I guess is a better way to say it. Right? Fantastic idea, and I love it. But we had to get a little bit creative. Now, the other thing that it does is it uses the same image for different heights of trailers. And the BDF Rigid that we're in right now has a refrigerated carry box on it. And it's a short box, or shorter. So I wanted to run a shorter trailer, a shorter trailer, which I believe would be more aerodynamic if we didn't have another step up, you know, the flat front of our dolly trailer poking up over the top of our BDF truck and having to smash through the wind, not an efficient use of fuel. So I went with a trailer that is the same height as the BDF truck, but because the trailers use the same image file again, then we lose the very tip top of the logo. And it's not necessarily something that I think anybody would easily notice, and I'm not by any means suggesting that you're like not savvy or not paying attention. But it's a pretty slight detail, but I see it and it bugs me, and I just assume you see it and it bugs you too. So there's two ways I can solve that. One is to put a smaller logo on all the trailers, and then it looks to sort of float in space, and the other way is to do what we did, which is to have the short trailer cut off the top of it, and the taller trailer, it fits okay. So this is what we went with. When it gets to be daylight, we'll hop out. We need to get fuel, so when we get fuel, we'll hop out and take a look at the truck. I like skinning trucks, and I particularly like, you know, I'm a little reluctant to get into role play. I love when other people do it. I think it's super cool. It's just not my jam. So, sorry, I'm trying not, I just had to look down at my keyboard to do my lift axles, and I didn't want to jerk my head around, which is, we'll get to that next part in a second as well. So, you know, I'm a little bit kind of, I stay away from role play. At the same time, the limited, I guess, I don't know, not like foray into role play. Well, that sounded ridiculous. My role play foray. In the limited context that we will sort of lean into role play, we picked a company in Reims. I picked a company based in Reims, or I built my headquarters in Reims to have access to the special transport cargoes. And that was the only reason. It could have been just as easily Rotterdam. But it happened to be Reims. And as a result, you know, the things that we've done since then, I've just simply tried to be consistent, I guess is the best way to say it. There's a chance to test my head tracking. And I'm going to talk to you all about head tracking in a second here. All right. Looks all right. So I'm not getting all hung up on you know, Reims or France or anything else. That just happens to be where we built our base. Could just as easily have been in Holland, but since it was in France, since it was in Reims, I've decided to continue the theme forward, and that's why we branded our trucks. And I do like skinning trucks, and you know, having a background in graphic design and advertising and marketing, it's fun to come up with kind of a fake company and think, you know, if I had a client approach me, someone that owned a mid to moderate sized logistics company in Reims, France, and they told me I need a logo and a brand identity and logo type, etc. What would I design for them? So that's sort of what I came up with for us. And when I say us, I mean both me and my team here, but also us as a channel. It's not super interactive yet, don't have a ton of viewers, but I do still think of it as a product that I'm making for you, and so what I'm making, I want to be of value and of interest to you, and how you feel about some of the decisions that I make. To me, that makes us a we. You know, I want the choices that we make for the channel and for the direction that we go in as a fake truck driver, as a fake company. I want those decisions to work for you. So hopefully that all makes sense. But yeah, I got to skin some things. I've really leaned in on trailer packs recently, so I've got to skin quite a few things. And there's another truck, an MAN TGX 2010, that I also had to skin the truck, the box, and the trailers. But it's by a different mod maker than this Ikari set that we have right now. So there's been some skinning going on, and it's been challenging, but in a good way. Hope nobody hits me. Hope nobody hits me. Perfect. Probably could have dropped down one gear there, maybe two. I just didn't get to it in time, and by the time I did, we were already on the way out. And I would love to, I didn't forget about head tracking, I would love to go with a full-on game chair, Fanatic pedals, and an SKS shifter. I think that would be lovely. I just don't have the space for it right now. When I'm traveling, I imagine that would fill pretty efficiently. That would fill a big Pelican case. And I've already got kind of a handful to carry right now. Not carry like carry around on my back, but I mean to manage. I've already got kind of when I'm out on the road, I've got quite a bit, and I don't want to add to it. So my rig right now technically will fit. I mean, if I really had to, I can fit my entire gaming rig into a messenger bag, and not one of those great big ones that you can fit like a microwave oven in. I mean, just a regular messenger bag can hold my entire gaming rig. And I sort of like that. I mean, I didn't pick the portable gamer randomly. I love being portable, love being on the road. So my rig reflects that, or should, I guess. This is getting a little bit sloppy. I'm noticing. Don't think I'm not. And when I say sloppy, I mean me. I'm being kind of sloppy today. Part of it is I'm getting used to the head tracking, which I'm going to tell you about in a second. So, come on. Got to be a gear low enough. There it is. So, head tracking. I love flight simulator games, but I spend most of my time on transport games. Trucks, trains, farm, which is not really transport, although you spend a lot of time hauling things around, and also racing, which is, I guess, a form of transport. But I got a couple combat flight sims. I got the new Sturmovik, which is, I mean, sort of new. It's April right now. It came out in December, so it's 6 months old, 5 months old. I got the new Sturmovik, Cliffs of Dover Blitz, I believe it's called. And I also got Rise of Flight, which is an older game, but they keep it sort of up to date. I'm not being an ass when I say that. Sort of. It's an independent company. It's a cool game for an independent company, but it's definitely not Ubisoft. So, you know, when I say they're doing their best, I'm not being an ass, but it's not. It doesn't have. You can see that it doesn't have the support of, you know, maybe some other companies, what they have available. So, I got Rise of Flight, and if you know Rise of Flight and if you know Sturmovik, you know they're both old-timey. And Rise of Flight is really old-timey. World War I, which actually is one of my, I don't want to say my favorite eras, because it was such a horrible time and so many tens of millions of people died. I don't want to say, oh yeah, it's one of my favorite times, like that time we went to Disneyland for 2 days. I don't mean it like that. But it is, historically, it's a time period that, not just the war, but everything around it, the music scene, the scene in Paris, both during and immediately after World War I, the literary scene, the expatriate scene, all of it is just, for me, it's a really cool time period. And I love the technology. I love thinking about World War I aircraft that were made of paper and string and wire and wood, and just, by contemporary standards, they were just, I don't even know if there's a way to look at a paper airplane, a fabric airplane that people used to fly in. Not a toy, not a model, but a real plane that people used to fly in and make war with. It was made out of fabric. It's really difficult to sort of look back at that and think, you know, wow, that's so old school. But then to also realize that at the time, seeing something like that would be like looking at the space shuttle, or something beyond the space shuttle, because the space shuttle is, what, like 40 years old now? It would just be mind-blowing. It would be like looking at a UFO or something. It would blow people's minds. So I love thinking about that. I love the technology, you know, grass and leather, and just, it just suits me. So I went ahead and got Rise of Flight, which is, the game itself is free on Steam, and then you pay for the DLC. If you get all the DLC, I believe it's around $200 if you get everything. You don't have to get everything, obviously. You can just get whatever you want. You don't have to get anything. You can just get the base game. So I got Rise of Flight, and scenery. We've been really stable lately. Very few crashes, which I'm very pleased about. Trucks go this way. I would like to go, if it's okay with you. Gas station, I would like to go this way, because I've got quite a rig on the back there. Right. Let's get some fuel. So I really like that era, and one of the things that I like about that era is it was just you and somebody else, more or less like boxing in the sky with planes, but there was no radar, and there was no heat seeking, and there was no lock on or anything. There was just like you and another guy shooting at each other from these wood and fabric airplanes. And when I say guy, I don't know if there were any female aviators in World War One. I'm sure there must have been some. Somebody snuck in there. Let's hope there's a way to get out back here. We don't end up. I think there is. Yeah, see, I keep grabbing at my joystick. Alright, take a chance. Not my joystick, I keep moving my right thumbstick and it don't do nothing now. It is deactivated. I am, well, we'll see. See if we can make this cut here. Oh, sure we can. Okay. Dolly trailer just tracks around everything. Is this a DUI checkpoint? Hello? It's a ProMods checkpoint. Sir, may I see your ProMods, please? Whoa. Is that a hot dog? Is it somebody dressed as a hot dog? I'm almost certain that is somebody dressed as a hot dog. Well, this game is full of surprises. So, to that end, you really need to use a lot of strategy. The AI, I'm trying to be positive. I'm really trying to be positive about a lot of things lately, but I'll try to be positive about the AI in Rise of Flight. It's very difficult to make AI. Because what we see in games is really not actually AI. It's just a series of scripts that repeat patterns, and the trick is to write scripts that respond to the input of the gamer and the actions of the gamer in a way that makes it seem random, when in reality it's really just doing the same things over and over. But you can have a lot of the same things for the game to do, and if you have enough of them, you don't really see them often enough to see that they are the same, if that makes sense. And then when you get into something like World War I dogfighting, there's only probably a dozen moves, that planes can make, the half loop and the Immelman and the split S and various other things. So to write a script that says, if me as the gamer, if I get, behind a plane, and if my plane is, I don't know, let's say my plane has a smaller turning radius, which means basically if you try to turn away from me, I can turn, they call it turning inside. I can, you go to the left, I go to the left, but I can go to the left tighter than you, so I can stay behind you as you're making that turn. Well, you can write a script that says, we're trying to play the role of an AI pilot now. Well, a pilot would be able to look behind him and see what kind of plane is chasing him. So the AI script would say that if I am in a plane that can turn tighter than the plane I'm chasing, it won't try to turn around on me. Or if the plane that I am chasing, the AI plane that I am chasing, can outclimb me, it will try to climb above me. Or if it can, right? So that would be one way to script it, and then it just executes that maneuver. And as it's executing that maneuver, it observes and analyzes my response, and am I pursuing, am I this, am I that, and it just continually refers to a library of pre-planned actions that it has. But when it assembles all of them in a seamless and sort of timely manner, then we call that AI, or we call that the game characters or whatever. So the thing about the AI is it's good, and it does the things that a World War I fighter pilot would do. And it's, like I said, it's about a dozen sort of classic acrobatic maneuvers that planes can do. The problem is that as you're flying, you do get some indicators. You can turn them on or off. I have them on at the moment, but they're little arrows around the edge of the screen that say, there's something out to your left, there's something out to your right. But that's all the information it gives you. It's just a little red or blue arrow, blue for friendly, red for enemy. And that's it. That's all you can see. So I had snap on the hat switch on my joystick, so I could tap left, tap right. But it wasn't fast enough, and it wasn't intuitive enough. And then particularly for Sturmovik, which is the other one, there is a anthropomorphic setting. And essentially what that says is there can't be more inputs happening at any given moment than you have hands. So you got 2 feet on your rudder pedals, and you've got one hand on your joystick in the real plane, one hand on the throttle, and you've got some various buttons. But as an example, you couldn't be initiating a turn and pressing on the trigger and adjusting the throttle and lowering the flaps. You just don't have enough hands to do that. So keeping that in mind, and also not wanting to sort of clutter my own brain at these very tense, honestly, kind of heart-pounding moments, I decided to go ahead and get the head tracking going again and see if that gives me a smoother and more intuitive gameplay. Short answer is it does. I'm actually going to do a Rise of Flight video. As soon as I'm done here, I'm going to knock that out as well and then get everything posted. And it is a weird game. It was released, I want to say it was released in either 2009 or 2003, but either way, it's been a while. But it's a good game. Good graphics, smooth. The planes are exceptionally detailed. The world, maybe not quite as good, but still pretty good. Now, here's one thing that's a little different. When you're in a plane, particularly that kind of plane, you're constantly looking everywhere. When you're in a truck, you're not. So I got a 6-axis system, which is 3 axis of slide and 3 axis of rotate, and they're actually doubled up. So your X slide axis, let's say that would be your right to left slide axis, or side to side slide axis would also represent your yaw, which is turning your head to the left and the right. Which exit do I want? This one. Right. So I got a 6-axis system, and as I was setting everything up for all my sims, I realized fairly quickly you don't need all 6 axes in a lot of sims. And in fact, the side to side, I'm probably going far too fast. Oh, that was a little bit not cool. Sorry, Volkswagen. So for instance, right now sitting in the truck, there would never be a reason for us to slide side to side. I don't even think we can. I think we can go front to back? Nope. So I've got all my slide axes turned off. I've got look left, look right. I've got look up, look down. And I've got I thought I had a little bit of roll, but it seems that I do not. So I'm curious where my roll went, but I'm not curious enough to actually go look for it. I'll sort it out after. Anyway, I also had to go in, and I don't know if you know this about face tracking, but I'll tell you, you have to set dead zones. It's important that you set dead zones, and the reason why is we're going to sleep. Depending on how we're doing on time, I may drive till we have to sleep, end the video there, or if we're within, I'd say, 100, 150 kilometers of our destination, then I will just go ahead and come out of the rest area and finish the video, finish the delivery. So you do have to set a dead zone, and the reason is your head moves around a lot. Your head is very animated, your neck muscles are very articulated, your head moves more than any other part of your body except your hands. So your head just tends to move a lot, even when you're sitting by yourself gaming, and if you don't set some dead zones, then the camera is just bouncing around constantly. You can also set curves, so the initial part of your, say your rotation, the initial part of your rotation just moves a little bit, and then the next, say 5 degrees moves you, I'll use it right now. Okay. So let's say 5 degrees of real life rotation rotates your game head 15 degrees. It's 3 to 1. You can set it so the next 5 degrees of rotation moves your head an additional 45 degrees, which is 9 to 1. And I set up things like on the left, you know, I kick my head a little bit to the left, and it just barely turns enough to look at the mirror. I turn it an equal amount to the right, and it goes a full 90 degrees to look at the mirror that is on the other side of the truck. When I look up, it barely looks up. When I look down, it looks down quite a bit, because I'd be looking down more than I'd be looking up at the ceiling of a truck. And that's it. Just kind of setting things up and seeing, you know, the way everything needs to be different. Planes need, you know, massive amounts of rotation, so I turn my head just a little bit to the left or right, and the pilot, I say it like it's an actual person, but, you know, 5 degrees of real life turns my pilot's head 30 degrees, an additional 5 degrees of real life turns it another 150. So with just a very slight movement of my head, I can be looking completely behind me, because there's always people chasing you, trying to shoot down your plane. Left, right, up, down, you want to look above you, all kinds of things like that. So it's different for everything, but I did set those slide axis to almost 0. I thought I had a little bit of movement, and I'll set it up for next episode. I won't do it now because I don't feel like pausing, but I had a little bit of slide up and down and front to back, and particularly in the Scania, the RJL Scania 7 series, there's some lights on the dash that are behind the wheel unless you move it. I didn't want to move it, I left it where it was, but with the eye tracking, I can lean up and over the wheel. It's a strange feeling the first time you do it. It's sort of like VR light, but it's a whole different look and feel. So I'm getting used to that. I'm getting used to I have so many hundreds of hours on this game just looking out the windshield, not moving, that spotting a turn, spotting an entry, driving essentially I'm so used to seeing certain angles through the windshield, and when you switch those out to other angles like you get when you turn your head, it throws me a little bit. There has been a bit of a learning curve, so hopefully I'll keep the learning curve private. You won't need to deal with that, but yep, it's definitely making a difference. Definitely making a difference in the flying games, and I imagine within the next 2 to 3 hours of game time in Truck Sim, it will be as important, I think, as manual shifting and staying in cab and all the other things that we sort of take for granted as gamers. If that makes sense. How are we doing on time? We're going to miss it by an hour. And you can... An hour is a little bit... It's a little bit much. Now, I could speed up right now. I could take it up to 100 and try to get there before we have to sleep. But I don't think I'd really accomplish anything. I think I would be driving 100 kilometers an hour, risking tickets, risking accidents. I wouldn't save a whole lot of time. We would probably be dozing off by the time we got there anyway. Yeah. I think I'll just, well, no, there may or may not even be a place to sleep before we get there. 250 kilometers there ought to be. But we'll see. Too late now. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen. We cast our fate to the wind. Yes, dead zone, definitely important. If you get everything set up just right, get your curve set up just right, it's a very natural, very intuitive kind of deal. Here we go. Place to sleep. And this will, you know what? I'm going for it. I'm going to the next one. Because we've had too many episodes in the dark, and it's noon. I believe you sleep for what, 8 hours, 10 hours? So we would almost certainly wake up and drive in the dark. But if we're going to do that anyway, let's drive 50 kilometers in the dark, not 237. Does that make sense? I think it does. Bump it up to 90. Risk some tickets. Now the other thing that this changes is something about ETS2 that I've always wondered about. When you're using a gamepad, or you know, this probably applies to a wheel as well, because some wheels do have thumbsticks on them. I believe the Rustmaster, maybe one of the PlayStation wheels. There is a wheel that has 2 thumbsticks, just like a game controller, but they're mounted left and right. Fantastic for walking around and things like Farm Sim. Maybe a Logitech. I know I've seen it. I know I've had my hands on it. At any rate, when you look around with the right thumbstick in ETS2, it does not snap back to center. In other words, if I move the camera to the right to look out the, in this case, the passenger side mirror to see if it's safe to change lanes. If I use the thumbstick to do that, the camera will move as long as I have the thumbstick laid over. When I bring the thumbstick back to center, the camera will stop moving, but it will not return to center as well. If I want to look straight out the windshield again, I have to manually bring the camera back to center. And the problem is it never actually comes back to center. It gets very close, but then I have my right thumbstick set up where if I press it, it snaps back. And it causes a jump. The rest of the truck and the rest of the world don't jump. Just that camera jumps. But it looks like a jump cut, and it's always, I wouldn't say bothered me, but it's always, I've always noticed it, and I don't like it. So what's nice about this, and with having the dead zone set up, is essentially this is doing, the face tracking is doing what my joystick, my thumbstick cannot do, which is input, and then when I remove the input, it comes back to center and sits in the dead zone. So that's something that I'm pleased about, is there won't be that snapping back to center when I press the right thumbstick. So yeah, good move all around. It's also, I also want to continue to bring things to the channel. Oh, you know what, I forgot to, when we got fuel, I forgot to show you the truck. So we're going to do that right now. All right. Kept the dark wheels and everything, kept the dark mud flaps, so it's got that like it's floating. Trailer is by the same mod maker, but it does not have all the wheel choices that the rigid box truck has. Or I guess a rigid truck with a box. Right. I don't know if we're going to get another place to sleep now. I feel like we're committed. I feel like we ought to be committed. So let's pick up the pace a little bit. Yep, you got to sleep in an hour and 20 minutes. You may have 2 hours. Yeah, I mean, we're going to have about a 1 hour delta between when we need to sleep and when the job is delivered. But I like my choice. I think this is the right play. Had we gone to sleep back there, we'd wake up in the dark. And there's just been too many episodes and too much driving in the dark. Although 55 kilometers an hour is not going to get us there. Alright, is this a rest area? Sure is. And we just turned red. Okay. Well, I think we've pushed our luck far enough, so we do have to sleep here. But we are 123 kilometers, which is about 4 minutes, 5 minutes. So I think what we'll do is pull in here, sleep, and then I'll just knock it out. We'll just go ahead and finish off the episode. Or will we? Because now we're exiting. And I don't know if that sign for services was, is that if you go straight, or is that if you turn? Oh dear, I think we're about to have excitement. You know, I haven't wrecked a truck yet, at least on this profile. I haven't wrecked a truck, but these Scanias, when you do 70 or 80 or 100% damage, can be a couple €100,000 to get the truck fixed, which would wipe us out, and I'd have to take out a loan. Now, fortunately, my drivers are seriously leveled up, so we're making money pretty quickly, but it stings to spend €200,000 to fix a truck that you've already bought and paid for. But if I do wad it up, it'll be entirely my fault, and that's the way life goes when you push your luck, and we did. So we'll see. No, thought we were exiting, but I know it. All right, that was our first doze. We might be able to make it. I think we'll get a couple of little dozing episodes, and then we will get a couple of finds, and then we'll start to fall asleep proper. I'm going. I gotta go. Can't wait. And I suppose the worst scenario would be we've got 11 hours to deliver the job, and I can't remember, do you sleep for 8 hours or 10 hours? As much as I've played this game, I honestly can't remember. Well, we're going to be there in just a few minutes, so I think we're okay. But I was thinking sort of a terrible scenario would be if we get down here and there's a place to sleep when we're this close to the drop-off. Would it make sense to sleep that close? Yep, and there's a place to sleep. Oh, game. And let's take a look. Take another look at the truck. There it is. So yeah, I wanted a trailer that was the same height as the front box, and we did get the reefer. Got the reefer box up front, got the toolboxes underneath, the big lift on the back, just every amenity I could think of. Yeah, let's just go for it. Let's just do it. We're gonna hopefully catch some green lights here. I gotta go, sorry. Yeah. There we go. Alright, we're gonna ignore this fuel and rest stop, and we're just gonna go for it. I say go for it like we're trying to leap across a chasm on Mont Blanc or something, but you know what I mean. It'll be interesting. What else is going on? Not a whole lot. Just been laying low. I think I posted something since Easter, and if I did, then I'm sure I talked about the holidays and etc. So no need to get into that again. Not that there's any like big story or anything. I just see that's the other thing I got to remember is I need to be still when when I got this going on. You know what? I should I guess email the developer and ask if it's possible to have a mute for eye tracking, right? Like if I had to sneeze right now, how terrible would that be? But if there was a mute button that temporarily suspended your eye tracking, also, obviously, it's going to get a little... Man, I have so many things going on now. Is that 2? Is that 2 or 3? It's going to give me a couple fines before I start falling asleep. I think we're going to make it. 24 kilometers, yeah, we should make it. Oh, I was trying to slide to the outside there. So I didn't hook the trailer and I nearly wadded it up on the left side. Yeah, it's starting to feel more natural. It's definitely intuitive because it's just turning your head. It's something we've all been doing, well, hopefully most of us have been doing since we were kids. So it's definitely intuitive. But as far as, in-game, I'm not waiting, I overstate. I'm aware of the fact that there will be a learning curve until it's very natural to move my head as I would in real life. Yeah. Okay, well, we made it. We didn't fall asleep. I'm just going to duck into town after we drop off here. I'm going to duck into town and get some sleep. And we are in northern Germany right now, so not far from Reims, and we just got this truck, but we're going to, when we get back to Reims, we're going to get that MAN if we have enough money, and we should by then. All right, how'd we do? Beautiful. Very cool. Folks, thank you so much for stopping by to check out The Portable Gamer. Thanks for joining us for another episode of European Truck Simulator, and we will see you next time. Take care now.